Strand each and every week to bring you the weekly games as they're going to be about to kick off. We're going to be talking about start sit questions. We're going to be talking about a lot of DFS stuff, all kinds of good stuff here for week 8. We know the NFL trade deadline's getting close, Wiz. That's going to be interesting to see. I know your Ravens are really pursuing Derrick Henry. I even went on the record to say if they got him, that would be a really big help for them. You excited for the trade deadline?
Oh, I'm pretty excited. So there's reports that I saw today that Titans are not interested in trading Derrick Henry or DeAndre Hopkins unless they're wowed by the offer.
Yeah.
So I don't know exactly what that means. But I was hoping that the Baltimore Ravens they get Patrick Surtain. I don't know how much the Broncos are charging for him, or Chase Young or Sweat. I guess those two are also on the market from over in Washington. So.
But as a Baltimore fan, I mean, what would be the highest that you'd be willing to pay for Derrick Henry? Because I'm telling you, the way you guys play football, it has to be enticing. I mean, he could really bolster your running game big time.
Yeah, I mean, you look at guys like Gus Edwards, right? Gus Edwards, he's been doing pretty well for our running game so far. We're sprinkling Justice Hill in and Kenyon Drake every now and again. So I think if we have that that elite running back in there, that would just do wonders for our team. But I don't know if we will need him because I don't know. I like the way our team is kind of set up right now. I think we need more help on our defense end. But our defense has been playing better. I think we're getting healthier, which is good. But a fourth round, maybe a third, and we get a later pick back, like a fifth or a sixth, that'd be fine with me. But Baltimore, we're usually pretty good at drafting defense, late in the round. We usually find those diamonds in the rough. So those late round picks are more valuable for our organization.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And you know this being a hockey guy yourself. Sometimes the best trade's no trade. You bring in someone and it just don't work out. The chemistry don't flow. So it will be interesting though. Like Pat Surtain, like you said, I mean, if he does get dealt, he's going to have to fetch at least 2 firsts, wouldn't you think?
Oh yeah, for sure. But I mean, he's I think he's always on up on PFF's top 5 cornerbacks for the years so far. The last 2 years he's played, so he's a lockdown corner. So I think whatever team he gets moved to is going to be beneficial for him long term.
For sure, man. So we got to keep our eyes on the NFL trade deadline. That's going down on Halloween night. We're all going to be all over that on the Dynasty DNA Discord channel, guys. Before we kick this all off, you're talking to the creator of the Dynasty DNA Discord channel, Dynasty Wiz here, Nicholas Holt. He made the best Discord I've ever been a part of. That thing is so active over there. We've about got 100 people in there. So if you love fantasy football, if you love ask and start sit questions like DFS stuff, we talk about all that over there. Trades. If you're just a big fantasy person, you got to join the Dynasty DNA Discord channel. If you guys want to join that, go over to our Twitter page at DynastyDNA_. The link's right in the description, right at the top. You click on that baby. It's free to join, and we'd love to have you, wouldn't we, Wiz?
Oh, absolutely. And we've been talking a little bit behind the scenes about as soon as we hit 100 members, we'll do some sort of giveaway.
Yep.
So that'd be pretty awesome. So the best way to be a part of that giveaway is just join the Discord. Simple as that. 100% free.
Yep. And Stev in there won the Jahmyr Gibbs mini helmet. Man, I'm jealous. I love that thing, man. I mean, he's got a really nice collector piece there. So if you're in the Dynasty DNA Discord channel, not only do you get good advice, love to talk fantasy football, but you have a chance to win some stuff, so you can't beat it. So love
Absolutely.
Love it, man. But here we go, Wiz, week 8. And as we go, guys, I mean, we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, and everyone in the Discord channel. If you have a start sit question, a waiver wire question, trade question, whatever it be, you ask it. We'll be happy to answer it. We'll stop and talk about it as we're going. But here we go, Wiz, week 8. What's the first game on the slate here for week 8?
Yeah, so we have the Saints and the Colts, and I believe they're playing in Indy this week. I'm going to check that real quick.
Well, too, hopefully they are. Well, I guess it really don't matter with the Saints because there's a lot of bad weather across the country here today, and that's something to keep an eye on as far as fantasy production goes. Could be some low-scoring games today. Don't you think that's possible, Wiz?
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know if you saw the report, but Patrick Mahomes is on the injury report coming into the game with an illness. So he's questionable coming into the game right now.
Seems like there's some kind of bug going around.
Yeah, absolutely. It's flu season. It's
not real ideal right now. And hey, well, hopefully Bijan Robinson don't magically appear on the injury report this week with Arthur Smith.
Or hopefully he does if he's injured or sick still. Like, geez, man. A lot of people get upset. Okay, yeah, so it is at Indy. But like you said, it doesn't really matter. They're both domes or indoor
Yeah.
in there. But so the spread's at -2. Saints are the favorite. And over under is 43.5.
Oh boy, I'll tell you what. Like this Colts offense is so tricky, Wiz, and you know this too. Like they look good at times. I mean, and then there's times they kind of don't look like they got it going on with Gardner. He's so inconsistent, but I mean, he is a great backup quarterback. He can win you a game if you need it. But this could be a tough one going up against the Saints defense. I don't know if they hit that point total. Do you agree with that?
I mean, I can see going either way, right? I mean, the Colts looked really good against the Browns, where the 49ers struggled. But also, Gardner Minshew is really good against man coverage, and Saints play man about 60 to 7% of the time.
Yeah.
So Gardner Minshew just doesn't know how to read zones, I guess, or he's just better because he likes to give it to the guy, make his receivers make a play on the ball. So that kind of just favors man overall. So, I mean, I think Gardner Minshew has a little bit of an advantage going against the Saints, but Dennis Allen is a defensive-minded head coach. So, I mean, they could easily we're just going to play more zone than man this week to shut down Gardner. But I think it's going to be a tough game, and Vegas thinks so as well. It's at -2.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one for sure. And the Saints' offense just has not looked good this year, man. I mean, let me ask you about this. I mean, because I know I'm concerned, but I mean, Wiz, like being in the Dynasty DNA team like you are, you're entrenched with everything that we're doing here. When we've never been like, especially me and Andy, like we've always liked Olave, but we were never super, super high. We're like, he's always going to be a solid high end wide receiver 2 to a mid end wide receiver 2. But boy, whenever they got Derek Carr, people just went crazy, and it just hasn't really clicked yet. Are you concerned at all? I mean, do you think, or do you just like us? You think he's always just going to be a solid guy that just doesn't have the highest ceiling?
Yeah, I think he's always gonna be fluctuating around that wide receiver 2 range. Going into the season, I saw like a tweet. I forget who tweeted it now because it's like way off season. But the way Derek Carr plays football, like he's not a big time thrower to like. So it's going to hurt Olave more. So it's going to favor more Michael Thomas in there. And they also is going to hurt Rashid Shaheed. But we've seen Rashid Shaheed just pop off in these random games.
Yeah.
Gets a touchdown. So, I mean, it's interesting going forward. I mean, there's like times where Olave, he almost has that knucklehead thing, like where Jameson Williams, but it's not as bad, right? He got that speeding ticket going in there. He got arrested for that. And there's been times where the ball is just thrown and he's not running full speed after the ball. So it's frustrating watching as football fans and fantasy owners and managers. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you on that. And then as far as like, to me, I think the must start play here for the Saints is Alvin Kamara. I think he's going to have a really good day today going up against this Colts defense. I mean, we seen Jerome Ford bust a big run against this Colts defense last week. Kareem Hunt, I think, did score in that game as well. So I think Alvin Kamara could have a really nice welcome back party type of a game. I mean, he has been solid, but I think he has a good day. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree, and I think it's gonna be just a lot of short routes ran. So I think Kamara is gonna get fed the football through the air as well. And I think maybe Kendrick Miller might have a little bit of a come to life game. I don't think he's gonna break out fully this game. But I think it's in the realm of possibilities in there. I think Michael Thomas might have a good game, but I think he was on the injury report as well. I gotta double check that. But it's just like this is a game that I'm not really looking to start money of the Saints players unless I have to. Obviously, if you have Olave, you're gonna fire him up in your lineup. Kamara, you're gonna fire him up.
Yeah, I think like Michael Thomas, I'd be a little more hesitant with. You agree with that? Like someone like that, I think I would maybe try to find another option.
Yeah, absolutely. And then if you go on the other side of the ball, I think Mike Pittman's going to be a good start this week. It just kind of depends, I think, on who Lattimore's going to be covering most of the time, right? If he's going to – because I think he's going to cover Michael Pittman a lot of the time, but we saw Michael Pittman use shutdown at the beginning of the game, and then he got that garbage time touchdown that really just sealed his fantasy week that made him like, oh, yeah, he was a must start all along, you know?
Yeah,
so I think that could be the similar thing. He's gonna struggle first half, and then he's gonna put points up towards the second half in garbage time if it comes to garbage time.
Yeah, it definitely seems like he's been a second half player, Michael Pittman. Josh Downs, another guy I want to talk about real fast, and we're going to go into the next game here. But Josh Downs has been really locked in with Minshew. I mean, underneath in the slot, the Colts have finally found a guy they could pair with Pittman. Do you like Downs this week, or do you think you're going to be a little hesitant against the Saints team?
Yeah, it seems like Gardner Minshew, him and Gardner Minshew have a good rapport right now. So I think if you have Josh Downs, I think he's a pretty safe play this week coming into it, especially with Lattimore covering Michael Pittman most of the time. He's going to have to pass the ball to someone. And like Andy said over there, he said JT takeover week. Obviously, you got to fire up JT in there. And I think Zach Moss might be a good start as well. I think he's going to still be getting the touches and opportunities to score and make fantasy points. But if you had to pick one of these spreads, which spread are you choosing?
Oh boy, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. I honestly think the Colts win this game, man. I think the Colts win. I'm going to go with the Colts side of this. I mean, how do you feel, Wiz? Are you more of a Colt? Like, you think the Colts are going to do better, or do you think the Saints are going to win?
Yeah, I think this game is going to come down the wire, regardless of whoever's going to win this game, and I hope it's by 1 or 2 points. So I'm leaning more to the Colts, but I think the game's going to be close throughout the game. No one's going to really break away, and if they do, they're going to catch up in the second half of the game.
So you said that the Saints were 2-point favorites, right?
Yep, -2.
Yeah. I honestly think the Colts are going to win. I don't think the Saints will be able to live up to that 2 points. I mean, so I just think that the Colts. I don't know, man. The Saints' offense just has not gotten going. So we'll see what happens. So I think the Colts pull the upset here. I'm going with them in this one. But going over to the next game, Wiz, what's next on the docket?
Yeah, so we have the Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Jaguars are -2.5 favorites, or in the over-unders at 41 points. And I think this is at Pittsburgh. So.
Yeah, it is. It is. And that is a little surprising that Jacksonville's the favorite. It's a home game for the Steelers. I know the Steelers haven't looked good, but at the same time, they have been winning games. So it's kind of a little bit of a tough thing that to say that Jacksonville's the favorite. I mean, I tend to think that Jacksonville probably will win this game, but Jacksonville's been kind of like a roller coaster too. So I don't think it's a slam dunk. I mean, I know the weather here. I could speak for this being an hour north of Pittsburgh in western Pennsylvania. It's pretty rainy, pretty sloppy out today. It has cooled off a little bit. Jacksonville's a warm weather team. And I just don't think there'll be much offense to be had in this game, man. I honestly think this will be an old school 13-17 type of game. Trevor Lawrence has got to start picking it up. He's been inconsistent. But, I mean, that's how I feel the game's going to go because, like I said, I can kind of see the weather out my window right now. Mm-hmm. What do you think, Wiz?
Yeah, so Jacksonville's been practicing. They've been wetting the field a lot in their practices, so they're preparing for it. Mike Tomlin's he's so good against the spread, especially being home favorites. I think he's like 22-8-5 or something like that with the spread. So I just feel like, and I don't know if you saw like Trevor Lawrence. There was a thing about like the terrible towels they were talking about it. He's like, oh, those yellow things. Like he meant it as like a respect thing. But Pittsburgh, and you guys took it to heart, and you're like, fuck Trevor Lawrence now. So I think this might be like a little revenge game coming on. Like same thing, Juju was dancing on the logos, and then that started the whole debacle back.
Yeah, the TikTok crap, yeah. And honestly, man, I know George Pickens has been getting into it with the Jaguars defense. I know there's been a little trash talk going back and forth there. He's someone to watch today. I mean, I don't know. He's the kind of player that I think he plays better when he's motivated. So we'll see what happens. I mean, the fact that the Jaguars responded might have really poked the bear, but maybe they'll back up. Maybe they'll back up their talk too. So we'll see. But I think this will be low scoring. I mean, out of this game, Wiz, I mean, on the Steelers side of the ball, I think George Pickens to me is the guy that I'm starting. Like, if I had to pick one, I know this Jacksonville defense has been pretty tough. But, I mean, we've seen the Steelers' offense just sputter all year. George Pickens, though, has been pretty reliable, and he's made some big plays. I think if I had to start one Steeler, I'm starting George Pickens. Who would you go with? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it kind of depends a little bit with Deontay Johnson. We saw the Steelers' offense just looked way better when Deontay was out there. I don't think it was necessarily because Deontay, because he's not really like that elite of a dynamic playmaker, but no. They were able to run their offense just better overall. I think like Matt Canada knew how to be an offensive coordinator, so I think that helped him out a lot. And he's questionable coming in. He's back on the injury report, but I think he's supposed to play. I mean, you might be tied in more with Pittsburgh than I am. You know if
Yeah,
Deontay's playing?
they said that there's probably like a 70% chance he plays, but I'll tell you one thing from experience with Deontay Johnson, I don't trust him at all. He is so soft, man. I mean, he is a solid player, but he just cannot stay healthy. I call him the man that's made of glass. But you're right. I mean, he's better than Calvin Austin and Allen Robinson. When he's out there, it does help open the field up a little bit more because we have no Pat Fryermuth either right now. So,
Right, absolutely. And so I think if Deontay plays, I mean, George Pickens is going to be. Kenny Pickett's just always looking for him. He's always giving that one-on-one. I mean, he sees Pickens on one-on-one. He just throws the ball up because he thinks Pickens can come down with it 95% of the time, which Pickens usually does. And he's very dynamic with that. I mean, he beat Baltimore with that, So I think Pickens is probably the best start going on the Steelers side of the field.
oh, no doubt. And a DFS play and a fantasy football play, if you have them, obviously you're starting them, and I'd be thrilled about it. It's Travis Etienne. Our run defense has been absolutely atrocious. And Etienne, like it or not, man, he's been taking advantage of the opportunity, scoring a lot of touchdowns. I think Etienne's going to have a really nice day. So, I mean, the fact that they can run the ball better than us, I think. I mean, we did get our running game going last week a little bit, but the Jaguars seem like they are really running the ball well. I think they do it again today. And I'm going to say 2 points for Jacksonville. I do think they cover. I mean, as much as I don't want to say that, but the truth is, I think they're going to be able to run the ball better. And for whatever reason, this game, Wiz. It's a smash mouth type of game, with Jacksonville, like in the Steelers. And they have our number. I mean, there's certain teams that do. I mean, hell, Blake Bortles beat us in the playoffs. I mean, it just, when you see that jersey, you're going to be in for a long day. But I think Travis Etienne has a great day, and I do think the Jaguars cover. I think they probably are going to win this one. But you never know. Like you said, the Steelers have given people fits at home, especially TJ Watt is otherworldly good. I mean, what do you feel? Do you like Etienne, and do you think the Jaguars cover?
Yeah, I like Etienne. I mean, Etienne came out and he's shown people that Tank Bigsby is no worries whatsoever to him. But I also like Christian Kirk going against the Steelers.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of struggle a little bit against the slot receivers. So I think he's definitely a good fire-up play, especially for DFS. He might be cheap. I don't know. I don't really play too much DFS on here, but so that's definitely a guy I'm looking to fire up. But I'm always hesitant betting the spread against Mike Tomlin at home. He's just so good, and he burns so many parlays all the time for me. But I think I'd be more comfortable switching over to the money line for Jacksonville because, like you said, I think they're gonna win, but I could easily just see it come down to the last minute field goal to be up by 1 score. So 2.5 points, they have to win by 3. So it's that gives me a little worries. That's all.
Oh, yeah. I don't think it's a slam dunk. I'm just worried they're going to run the ball so well against us. And like you said, Christian Kirk, he's the kind of guy that kills us. This guy can play in the slot. You can move him around. He's shifty. Levi Wallace is horrible. He shouldn't even be in the CFL. So we'll see what happens. But that's what we think about that game. What do we got next on the slate, Wiz?
Yeah. So real quick, Tyler Shooter has a question. He said, for this week PPR, who would you start, Zay Flowers or Jordan Addison?
Oh boy, that is tough. That is really tough.
Yeah,
Addison.
So Vikings play Green Bay, and then Ravens play the Cardinals, and that's me at Arizona.
Boy, I'll tell you what, man. I would start Zay Flowers, and I would start Zay Flowers for one reason. I'm not taking anything away from Jordan Addison because I loved what I seen him do last week. He's looked so good. We said when Justin Jefferson's out, will he take these targets and be an alpha type of guy? And we've seen it against a real good defense in San Francisco. But it's going to be hard to sustain what Addison's done week after week. He's literally visited the end zone every week. There's going to be a game where he's due to not score. And I look at it like this. Zay Flowers going up against Arizona is just a tasty, tasty matchup. You got the Packers and the Vikings, which is a division game. That could be a little bit more, physical, low scoring. I could see that happening. So I think I'm going to lean Zay Flowers, but I could see a world where they both get up around 20 points. But I like Zay Flowers' matchup a little bit better. The fact that it ain't a division game, Baltimore does have some momentum. And at some point, Jordan Addison's going to have to slow it down a little bit, I think. So I'm going Zay Flowers by a hair. What do you go with?
Yeah, I agree. The weather's, I think, supposed to be like like 32 degrees up in Green Bay, so it's gonna be cold weather. Jordan Addison's always played, or I guess he played with for Penn State. But I was gonna say he played in USC last year. So I don't know how well adjusted he is to the cold weather games yet, and I think that might. It's just so little things like that make me worried about rookies coming into it. And I think they're gonna try to win on the ground because Green Bay's defense is just run defense is so bad. So I think Alexander Madison, Cam Akers, and whoever else is gonna run football for him is gonna be okay plays going on this week. But so our next game that we have on the docket is Texans and Panthers. Texans are the favorites at -3.5, and over under is 43.
Boy, I'll tell you what, the battle of the rookie quarterbacks, C.J. Stroud versus Bryce Young. We know the Texans have looked pretty good with C.J. Stroud. I'm kind of excited to see them back on the slate this week, see what they can do. But the Panthers' defense has been pretty decent against the pass. So I don't know. I don't know what to think about this game. I mean, I could see it shooting out from a standpoint if Houston does play that well. I don't think Carolina's going to be able to keep up with them, but when it gets to garbage time, they might get some easy stuff. I think Houston's going to win this game, but I don't know. I'm going to say maybe it's going to be more like a 24 to 10 type of game or 24-13 type of game. I think Houston's going to win. I think that Dalton Schultz, to me, and I got a question on this on Discord earlier. Who would you rather start, Dalton Schultz or Kyle Pitts? I went with Dalton Schultz because this is a killer matchup, and it seems like C.J. Stroud these last couple games has really built a rapport with Dalton Schultz now. And I think that he's kind of a sneaky guy if you have him as a tight end that I'm firing up this week. What do you feel about the Texans versus Panthers here, Wiz? Do you like the Texans? I'm sure you do. And do you think it's a blowout? Do you think it's close? And who do you like starting on the Texans side of the ball?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a close game. Panthers always have kind of kept the games close all throughout the year, throughout this year. So it comes down to it's gonna be I feel like it's gonna be a lot depending on the run game. Who's gonna be able to establish the run game? Both teams kind of struggle a little bit. Panthers more so when Miles Sanders was their lead back, although with Chuba played really well. Dameon Pierce really hasn't done much. Devin Singletary's done okay in there. So I think it's gonna come down to the run game in there, but it's gonna be who's gonna be able to establish it, because that's gonna be so important for the offenses to play action, to open up the field, to make the rookie quarterback's life so much easier. But I agree. I think Texans overall have the better team, on both sides of the field. Their defense, I think, is a little bit better than Panthers, and their offense is just a little bit better. So I think I'm pretty comfortable with that 3.5 points, and on Bet Online it's plus 101, so it's better odds as well.
So if you had to pick, though, I mean, is there one certain player? I mean, do you think C.J. Stroud has a good day, or you think it's more of like a 16 to 18 point type of game?
Yeah, I think he might go into the low 20s or just be right at 20. I don't think he's going to have necessarily a huge day, but Tank Dell's coming back. Texas is coming off a bye week, and we don't know how. What's that coach? D'Amico Ryan or
D'Amico Ryan, yeah.
Oh yeah, I was to make sure I messed that up, but we don't know how he is exactly coming off the bye weeks. He has a head coach, so it's gonna be interesting. We didn't see any really reports about like Zach Wilson. He was out with his girlfriend over the week to Utah, so we didn't see any reports like that from C.J. Stroud, which is something good, I guess. But I just think Texans kind of show why C.J. Stroud deserved to be the number 1 overall pick and how the Panthers messed up.
Yeah, and really, I mean, Will Anderson, I don't think is ever going to be a super game wrecker, but they got themselves a solid defensive player too in that draft. So if I'm a Houston fan, plus they still got picks from the Deshaun Watson trade. So if I'm a Houston fan, I'm really happy about the direction of the team. But I like what you said. Like, I can see Stroud right around 18 to 20. That is probably a good place to have him. I think that's probably where he's going to end up. And you said, what was it, like 3.5 points? Did you say for Houston?
Yeah, 3.5 points favorites.
Yeah, I mean, is Carolina home then, Wiz?
Yeah, it's at Carolina.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know. I'm like you. I mean, the fact that when you got a team traveling, that is a lot. I mean, 2.5, okay, a field goal gets you there, but 3.5, I mean, that's you're talking a touchdown pretty much.
Right.
So that's going to be really difficult. So I don't know. I think I would steer clear of that. I mean, and two, I don't know how a lot of this weather is going to be on the East Coast. I know in Denver they got like 6 inches of snow, and like I said, being
Yeah.
here in Pittsburgh, we got a little bit of rain going on, and it's kind of like what we just talked about. The fact that does affect games. I mean, like it or not. So that's something to keep an eye on for sure.
Absolutely. I'm pulling up the weather right now. So it's supposed to be 76 and sunny out there with winds about 13.8 miles per hour.
Just a little windy, but see, they're lucky down in Carolina, man. I mean, they
Yeah,
got
that's
good
nice.
weather. Yeah,
Yeah.
I still live in Western Pennsylvania. I say, what am I doing? It's
Yeah,
crazy.
right. I feel you on that. But I think, what do you think about Damian Pierce, right? So Carolina's rush defense is towards the bottom half of the league. Do you think this is a game that he kind of uh, like performs better than what he has?
I think if you look at the numbers, it suggests that it should. And if I have him, I mean, with buys and injuries, I definitely am heavily considering him this week because, yeah, the matchup's good. And that's what you need from Damian Pierce. Like, I mean, he's not going to catch a ton of passes. So that the attempts that he gets, you need him to be super efficient between the tackles and you need him to get a touchdown maybe. So I like Damian Pierce this week, especially with buys and injuries. Like I said, you got to rely on your depth at this point in the season. Draws a good matchup. I mean, I would probably be a little bit skittish on DFS with them because when you can't get that receptions, you're really banking on touchdowns. But as far from a fantasy perspective goes, yeah, I wouldn't mind firing them up this week, especially with buys and injuries. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I think this might be his bounce back week, possibly. Is it going to happen? That's going to be something we'll find out shortly. But like definitely, if I'm no one else to start, and I'm like, or I guess like, who would you rather start, Damian Pierce or Daryl Henderson?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Now I'm trying to think now. Who's the Rams playing?
The Rams play. Where are they at?
Cowboys.
Yeah, the
Cowboys.
Cowboys. Yeah,
I would probably start Pierce over Henderson because, two, I mean, they got some receivers. The Rams love to throw the football. They just run the ball enough. The fact that they got Royce Freeman there, I mean, we don't know Zach Evans. I mean, that guy, I can't
he
believe he
didn't get a
didn't
single
get a touch.
touch.
They run Rolls Royce Freeman and Darrell Henderson. They both were eating snacks on their couch the week before, and they didn't even give Zach Evans a carry. So, but now, like in a situation like that, I'd play the matchup. I'd go Pierce. I mean, just hope that he bangs one in like real short yardage for a touchdown.
Yeah,
And
and he's gotten touchdowns. It's just they've always been called back from holding or whatever. He's just had bad luck, I think. So
yeah,
I think this is definitely a bounce back week for him. So.
and we've seen it against the Steelers. He had a good matchup there, and he had probably his best game of the season, if my memory serves me right. So I mean, if you got a good matchup, and like I said, with injuries and buys, I'm rolling with him.
Absolutely, I 100% agree. So next thing we have is this is gonna be a good one. I think the Eagles versus the Commanders. They're at Eagles are favored by -7, and the over under is 42.5.
Boy, this screams that we've seen these games. The Commanders are probably going to make this a game. We've seen that quite a bit through the years with the Commanders and Eagles. But at the same token, there's always a chance that the Commanders don't really show up that high strung, and the Eagles just put it to them because they are that good. But I mean, it is a division game, and I think it's going to be close. Now, I said this, and for everyone out there in listening land, everyone that has Devonta Smith's been really disappointed. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, he's historically killed the Washington Commanders. If you have Devonta Smith this week, I think I'm firing him up in every situation I can. I think he's gonna do one of them things like, you remember that game where they were doing the Batman thing where they were putting the Batman mask on? That was against the
Yeah.
Commanders, and Devonta Smith has just killed them. So I know he's been a little bit disappointing, but going up against this team, he does well. They give up big plays. I'm firing Devonta Smith up in a lot of DFS too. There's going to be a game where he breaks back out. And I think seeing this team that he's done so well against is the cure for that ail. What do you think about this game, Wiz? And do you like Devonta Smith?
Yeah, so kind of like you said, just the NFC East in general, they play real hard against each other. The Commanders always just play well against their division their opponents, and I think Sam Howell's still on the track record to break the most times being sacked in a single season. I think he's at 96 now. Is his average. He's going to finish out with. So he's kind of going the wrong way again. And it's going to be comes down like Washington's so good, like their defense is good. It's just their offensive line is just so bad, and the Eagles, Jalen Hurts just hasn't really looked that good this season, which is a little worrisome. Uh, but I think it's just gonna be a good tight game. But I can see just the Eagles pulling away towards the end of the game, or the Commanders just barely catching up to cover that spread, and it's a little bit worrisome. I don't like betting against usually division games.
No, because they are usually tough fought contests, especially this division. We've seen it. I mean, sometimes like you get an NFC South game. I don't know if the animosities there is highly. Like these teams have not liked each other for a long time in the NFC East. So it's something to watch. But like I said, I'm firing up Devonta Smith. I go back off of trends and go back off patterns. And I think that he likes seeing the Washington Commanders. So I think he's going to have a good day. Something to keep your eye on. But I mean, if you had to guess though, Wiz, what do you think the Eagles win by in this game? Because like you said, Jalen Hurts has not looked the best. I mean, he's still like quarterback 2 or 3 in fantasy. I mean, he's still putting up enough points to get him there, but he has not looked like his old self from last season where he was dominating completely. What do you think happens this game, and what do you think the Eagles win by?
Ooh, I think Commanders win. I think this
Oh,
is
you think
the time.
Commanders? You're going to go the upset on this one.
Yeah, I think it's in the realm of possibilities. You know, it's almost Halloween. Sam Halloween to
Yeah.
Scary Terry. That connection's gonna be off the charts there. And I think the Commanders, they almost upset them earlier this year. I think this is the time they prove it. And then Scary Terry's gonna go off this game.
So do you like Sam Howell as the long term solution for the Commanders? Because I mean, last week against the Giants, man, I was firing him up everywhere. I thought, oh, he's going to have a great game, and just a disappointment, So
Yeah.
I mean, do you think that this is more of just a stopgap and they get a quarterback via the draft or free agency, or do you think that they're going to roll with him next year?
Yeah, I don't think Sam Howell's the long-term answer. I mean, he has all the tools that we look for in fantasy purposes, right? He has that mobility. He's able to run out of the pocket, right, to get that rushing floor, and he's okay. He's a good enough pocket passer to, just pass to at least 200 yards a game. And but I just don't think he's the long term answer. I don't think Washington's gonna be as bad to get a quarterback in the draft. So then it's gonna leave the free agency, which Dak Prescott's is on the. I think he's a free agent this year, coming up to this year. Kirk Cousins a free agent, and I don't think Washington's gonna go target any of those guys. I think Sam Howell might stick around again this coming going into the next year, but I think Washington's just on the verge of a rebuild. They have new ownership. They're already talking about trading Chase Young and Sweat off the team. So I don't think Commanders really have a direction they want to go, but they're showing their hand right now, and it's going towards a rebuild.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. And they're a team to watch because, I mean, I don't know. They're frustrated. They play hard at times, and then, like, against the Bears, they just look lost through at least the first 3 quarters of that game. But I like what you're saying, man. Wiz is going the upset with the Commanders. We'll have to keep our eye on that one. Upset alert. But what do we got next on the docket?
Yeah, so we have the Rams versus the Cowboys, and it's -7 favorites for the Cowboys, and the over/under is at 44.5.
Yeah, and we seen Puka Nacua last week just go off against the Steelers. So many people saying, Cooper Kupp coming back is going to ruin Puka Nacua. There's a world for both of these guys. I mean, that's just the truth. The fact that you could take one away, but you can't take both away. And I said this: if you have Cooper Kupp or Puka, it could be maddening because one game you might get 7 to 10 points, which isn't horrible by any means. I mean, It's not rock bottom, but the other guy gets 30, and you're like, oh man. And we've seen it last week with Puka. But the fact that Travion Diggs is out is going to make that secondary a little bit more vulnerable. Now, the Rams' offensive line is not that great. Now, Sean McVay's been coaching them guys up. They've looked a lot better than they actually are. And I'm just wondering how they're going to hold up against this pass rush with Parsons because we did see them have trouble with TJ Watt and company last week. So, I mean, are they getting a little bit of a chink in the armor? So I don't know how explosive they'll be. If they can get the ball in the Nakua's hands and Kupp's hands, I mean, they're really going to put up some points for sure. But, I mean, will they be able to with the pass rush? We'll see. I don't know if it's going to score that high. I mean, Dallas's offense has not looked good either. Dak looks pretty well like cooked to me. I mean, just mediocre at best at times. I mean, I kind of like the Rams in this game. I think the Rams could pull the upset. And I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it's low scoring, like around 17-24 type of game at the most. I could see the Rams getting the upset here. You went with the Commanders. I'm going with the Rams. I think that they're going to do enough on their side of the ball on offense to beat down Dallas and beat them. I think it's going to be pretty close. And we'll see Jerry Jones upset after the game in the press box. And he's ready to kick some ass up there. But what do you think, Wiz? I'm going with the Rams in this one. Who do you like?
Well, you're not worried that Sean McVay just had his baby this week and he hasn't been able to study the film and all on the
No,
Cowboys?
no, he knows that. He knows everything.
Yeah, I just feel like this is a game that Mike McCarthy is gonna real like pay attention to, because I feel like being Sean McVay or being like a Kyle Shanahan is like something like that's gonna keep your job, right? Like, oh, I beat Sean McVay, that's why I should still be the head coach. But like you said, I mean, Dak just has not looked good. Do you think there's a possibility that we see Trey Lance start sometime this season if Dak Prescott continues down this road?
Well, yeah, I think there could be if they go on a losing streak, but they got to go on a losing streak. The fact that they've been kind of, they've lost a couple, but they've won more than they've lost. I think they will still. I mean, they're paying Dak all this money; he's got to be their guy. But if they go on a skid where they lose 3 or 4, then I would really, if I had Trey Lance, I'd be looking at like, okay, there's a possibility now he sees the field. I think that there could be an outside chance of that.
Yeah, absolutely. But that +7, I don't know if the Rams get the job done and beating them, but I think it's gonna be a tight game. Cowboys just hasn't really looked good.
Mm.
My wife's stepdad is a big Cowboys fan, so it's always good to talk shit to him every time the Cowboys lose. I just love rooting against them. I just hate the Cowboys so much. So I agree. I'm going with the Rams here. I don't know about the upset, but the +7 is just too enticing to not take it for betting wise.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. What do we got next?
Yeah, the next game is the New England Patriots versus the Miami Dolphins. Dolphins are -8 favorites. This is in Miami, and the over-under is 46.5.
Well, I'll tell you, man, I like what I've seen out of the Miami offense all year, but here's the thing, like with Tua, and it's worrisome. Every time that he plays in a big game or goes up against an AFC East foe, he struggles. I mean, we've seen him struggle. And the fact that the Patriots, I mean, they have not been good this season. And I know Preston's happy because last week they smoked the Bills. And they're coming off, they're riding high right now. I mean, you lose to the Raiders, but you beat the Bills. So we know New England gets up for these division games. I don't think Miami's going to track meet New England that much today. I mean, I think Tyreek Hill, no doubt, is going to get his. But this offense in general, I don't think it's going to be lighting up the scoreboard like we usually see they're capable of doing. I mean, I think this AFC North game, if you go back and you look at Tua against some of these teams, it's just what goes on. I mean, it is what it is. So we'll see what happens. But I think this will be more like a 24-27 type of game. I think it's going to be close. But I do think Miami will pull it out. But I don't think it's going to be Tua's shining moment, man. We've seen them play already this season. Raheem Mostert had a feast. I mean, they're going to try to run the ball again, no doubt about it. We'll see if they can get the job done. I do like Miami, but I think it's going to be tight. What do you think, Wiz?
Yeah, so Tua's 4-0 against Mac Jones.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a little interesting stat I heard. I think Miami's gonna pull the win through, but I don't know. 8 points I feel like is a lot, and Mac Jones has looked better and better, and I feel like once New England kind of got Demario Douglas back involved in the game, back in the game plan, because they need that speedster, they need that guy that's not keeping their offense still. And I think that's what's really helped Patriots these last couple weeks, even though he's not really he's doing enough, like especially for fantasy purposes. He's giving you nice. He got us 10 points last week that I had to start in pinch. And I think it's just I think New England's trending into the right direction, but I think this can be a setback here, and they're going to lose to Miami here.
Yeah, and I mean, and like I said, I don't expect New England to win, but like with Tua though, he gets the job done against the Patriots, but you look at his stat line, it's horrible, man. I mean, I don't know what his problem is, but like the Bills, especially, the Bills always give them fits. Like the Bills haven't been playing good football. I mean, Tampa Bay gave them a game there, last Monday night, I believe it was.
No, it's
So
Thursday night.
or Thursday night, yeah, Thursday night. So I mean, they're giving them fits. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. I mean, with Tua, it's just frustrating because he has these games where he gets 40 points, and you're like, oh, this is great. Like where I got him, what value? And then he'll do that maybe 2 weeks in a row. Then the third week he'll play someone like an AFC North or AFC East foe, and he'll get 15, 16 points, and you're like, ugh, like the balloon pops a little bit. So we'll see. But I do think Miami gets the job done. But I do think Bill keeps it close. I mean, they are riding high off that win with the Bills. But it'll be interesting, man. It really will be. But what do we got on the next game?
Yeah, so the next game is the Jets versus the Giants. Jets are a -3 favorite, and the over-under is 34.5.
Yeah, I'd take the under on that one. When Zach Wilson's out on the bye week, like you said, with his girlfriend, God knows. I mean, how much he prepared for this game. He really needs it, but I don't think it would help him much anyway. But the Giants offense is equally as bad. But one glimmering light, and there is one player on the Giants side of the ball that I am really firing up today, and a lot of different things is Darren Waller. I mean, the fact that Tyrod Taylor, with him coming in, it seems like it's rejuvenated Waller a little bit. We've seen Daniel Jones struggle, but Tyrod's gotten the ball to Waller these last few games. He's now tight end 5 right now, heading into week 8. So the fact if you did go out and you got Darren Waller, at least it's making you feel a little bit better. He's starting to get you some production. He don't look totally cooked, but he's going up against this Jets team that's absolutely atrocious against tight ends. So I'm firing him up everywhere. I think he's going to have a good day. I think he sees the end zone once. And Breece Hall on the Jets side of the ball, man. If you have Breece Hall, I mean, you're waiting for another mega Breece Hall bust-out game. I think this could be a possibility of it happening. I do think that the Jets will probably win this game, but I think it's going to be like 13 to like 17. I think it's going to be pretty low scoring, but I do like the Jets. What do you think, Wiz?
Yeah, I mean, it's looking like a favorable matchup for Zach Wilson and the Jets just in general. That Giants defense does not look good. Their offensive line's not very good. And but Tyrod Taylor's been kind of just a little light at the end of the tunnel for the Giants, giving them hope. And he's starting again. So as soon as Tyrod Taylor came in, he's been targeting Darren Waller. He's been getting his ball to the playmakers, which is something that Daniel Jones has not done really this season. So that's always good to see. But like you said, Giants are the home team, if you're wondering, technically in this one. I don't think it really matters too much, but
the end zones will be blue.
Yeah, not green, but there might be more green than blue in the end zones. But yeah, I agree. But I think Barkley and Breece Hall, I think it's gonna be a fun matchup going against them. And I saw on Twitter this week that Barkley's dad's a big Jets fan. And he has like a Jets tattoo on his arm and everything. He was like trying to convince his dad to become a Giants fan. It's like this whole ordeal. He's like, maybe if you win a Super Bowl with the Giants, I'll get a 26 with the Giants logo on it, and like the Super Bowl winners and stuff like that. Man, it's just not gonna be a good game. And this is I guess it's not prime time because it's still 12 o'clock window, but this is definitely not a game. It's gonna be appearing much on Red Zone, that's for sure.
And it could be weather affected too. We got to keep our eye on that as far as rain. This could be messy out there. So we'll have to definitely take a look into that too. But we're cruising through the slate. Like I said, I woke up and seen that 6 inches of snow in Denver. I'm like, oh boy. I'm like, if you have some people there, it could be a little tough sledding, but we'll see. It's always something to keep an eye on, man.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always something you got to keep an eye on. I'm trying to see the weather forecast. See, so it's 53 degrees out there. No rain or anything like that. It's just gonna be cold.
It's gonna be nice and chilly. Yeah. So, it should, as long as there isn't any big wind or no rain, it really shouldn't affect much. But it's always something to watch and think about. We're gonna go over to the next one on the slate. Wiz, what do we have?
Yeah, so we have the Atlanta Falcons versus the Tennessee Titans. Falcons come in as the favorites at minus 2.5, and the over-unders at 35.5.
Arthur Smith going up against his old team, the Tennessee Titans. And there are rumors, and I mean, Muscles, like, he don't believe me, but I seen a couple things on Twitter saying that they have called about Derrick Henry. The Falcons have. And that would be, I'll tell you what a mess that would be. I mean, if something were to happen, and I really doubt it, I mean, I'm down there, but if they got Derrick Henry with Bijan and Tyler Algier, I mean, what a nightmare. Like Andy said, maybe Dan Campbell's making calls too. You never know. So, but it will be interesting to see with the Falcons and Titans. We know that Will Levis is getting his first career start, supposedly here today. There are rumors that Malik Willis could be involved with the Titans as far as throwing the ball and being in the quarterback position too. But Will Levis is supposed to get the start. Are you kind of at least excited to see Will Levis today, Wiz?
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. I don't know exactly if he's going to be a good quarterback or not. I kind of didn't really draft him much. I was taking a lot of the guys over him, like A-Chain, Spears, all of them over Will Levis, which, I mean, it's usually not a good idea in Superflex, but that just shows how much belief I had in Will Levis, which is not much at all. But, I mean, he's definitely a good dart throw. But it's going to be interesting to see how he plays. I mean, if he plays good, I hope he plays good, Best luck to him in his future endeavors. But it's not a good matchup for him against the Falcons. Falcons defense has played pretty decent. I'd say better than expected.
Yeah.
And a lot of us have expected. So it's going to be interesting for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. And like I said, I think this here could be the lowest scoring game of the season with Will Levis and Desmond Ridder involved. I mean, Derrick Henry, I mean, they're going to have to ride Derrick Henry. Do you feel good about anyone from a fantasy perspective on either side here, Wiz, between Tennessee and Atlanta? Anyone at all? If you had to pick one player.
Oh, geez. I feel like the easiest cop-out answer is Bijan, but after last week, you can't really say. Like, I think I have Bijan on the bench in my home league this week. Better matchups, so I'm kind of playing the matchups a little bit, which I feel like it's not going to be a good idea because it's going to be a nice 20-point game. But I think Drake London's going to be a good start this week. Desmond Ritter's looking like he's been targeting his playmakers now instead of Mac Hollins and Jonnu Smith. His targets has gone down. I know TJ was like one of your favorite guys out there.
I love Jonnu Smith.
But his target share has kind of gone down a little bit. He's creeping down. Kyle Pitts is kind of going up, so that's always good to see for fantasy since we're rostering those players at higher price tags. So that's always good to see. But it just doesn't feel good. I mean, I think DeAndre Hopkins is good as okay flex play this week. Patrick Spears and Derrick Henry as well, but it just I think it's going to be a low scoring.
Yeah, I do too. I'm anxious to see like Will Levis throw it up to Hopkins because we know Hopkins is a throw up like type of guy. Just let me go up and get it for you. So maybe that'll help him a little bit. I'm with you on that. But hey, Wiz, you said about Jonnu Smith. Remember, this could be a revenge game going up against the Titans. So hey, if you got Jonnu Smith, I will laugh if he gets a 1-yard touchdown or something like that to rub it back into the Titans' face. So we'll see. But who do you like to win this one? I honestly think that Atlanta probably will pull this out with the rookie quarterback. But I'm like you, probably low scoring close, maybe like a 13-17 type of game again. I could see Atlanta pulling away, though, and winning this one. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I could see it. It's definitely the run possibilities. It's just this is a game that I don't really want to bet on because I feel like I don't have a clear, concise thing. But the bet I am taking is under 35.5 points. And Will Levis struggles a lot.
I'd smash the under on that one.
Yeah, and also Titans have a good run defense. So I feel it's going to hamper Arthur Smith's first thought, which is run the football, and then run the football again. And he's like, oh wait, it didn't work. Try it one more time, And I just don't know how well that's going to work with Atlanta. I'm sure they have some sort of game plan, but he also comes from the Mike Vrabel's tree. So I think Titans just have a lot of incentive to win, and I feel like this is also a turning point for their season. That if they lose, they're going to be like way outside of the playoffs now, and that's I think scary for Titans.
Yep. So, the Titans could be showcasing Derrick Henry for Arthur Smith here today. So we'll see what happens. All fun and aside. We'll be going over all the trade deadline stuff as more goes on. But we're going to go over, we got time for one more game, Wiz, and I know we got to do it. The Ravens game. Bring that one up, man.
Yeah, so the Ravens are I guess never mind. They're not the most favored team this week. They're tied with the Chargers and Bears, but Ravens are minus 9.5 points favorites against Arizona Cardinals, and over unders at 45 points.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, man. I mean, I know the Ravens are probably definitely going to win this game, but I mean, that's a little high, though, don't you think, Wiz? I mean, the Cardinals have played hard this year. I mean, we've seen them, like sometimes they can't keep it going and they'll lose, but they've given some teams some tough games. They beat Dallas. I mean, that is kind of a lot to ask, and it is in Arizona. So, I mean, that is kind of tough. And Josh Dobbs does know the Ravens with his time with the Steelers. I do think the Ravens win, but boy, I'd have a hard time betting with 9.5. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, 9.5, and usually most games, like even I think like 2 years ago, or like when Zach Wilson had his rookie year, so I think it was 2 years ago. But when they played the Chiefs, are like 28-point favorites. I was like, I'm taking the plus 28 because that's 4 touchdowns. Is a lot of ground to make up. It's almost a college spreadsheet at that point.
Right.
But I mean, like I said, the 9.5 is a lot of things, and both Baltimore and Cardinals are usually a better first half team, the second half team. So it's gonna be interesting what our defense game plan is, and are we going to be able to shut them down the first half like what we did with the Lions last week? And I think Todd Monken's offense is starting now to click. We saw it get showcased really well against Detroit last week, and I think it's just a nice building point up for Lamar to get adequate more into that system. I think he's more comfortable in the system where he's not looking to run first because I don't know if you saw that Gus Edwards 80-yard. I don't know if I can't remember if it was a touchdown or not. I think he got tackled. But that pass was I think it was supposed to be a design run, but he saw Gus Edwards up there a little bit more, and he passed up to him, and that shows like me for like at least like a Ravens fan and as a Lamar Jackson advocate that he's like maturing more to being a passer instead of a run first quarterback, and that's always good to see for fantasy.
Yeah, for sure, man, for sure. And Zay Flowers, like I said, I think honestly he could be one of the starts of the week this week going up against this Arizona secondary. We've seen it with Jamar Chase. Other people, I'm not saying Zay's as good as Jamar Chase because there's only a couple of them humans on the planet. But the fact that they're giving up so much to some of these wide receivers. And he's coming off one of his better games of the year. And like you said, the Baltimore played great last week. Can they keep it going? They should against this team. And yeah, I mean, even Mark Andrews, I think, is probably going to have a good day. And I'm like you. I think that if the Cardinals can keep it close in the first half, it's going to be a lot tougher, because like you said, they both play better in the second half. So will Arizona bring their best game when Baltimore brings their best game? And then when the game's tight at halftime, you never know. I mean, as far as the cover and the spread goes, like I said, I do think Baltimore wins this. But 9.5, man, that's a lot. And like you said about the Chargers and the Bears, I mean, what was their spread?
9.5.
Oh, is it 9.5 as well? Well, I mean, Brandon Staley. I wouldn't trust Brandon Staley with a 1 point spread at this point, man. I mean, if you're a Chargers fan, you got to get rid of that guy. I mean, it's horrible.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like the Bears 9.5 points at plus 9.5 is such a good bet because Brandon Staley just finds a way to fuck up games and make them real close for no reason. That he's like, all right, Justin Herbert, we're gonna make a case for MVP here. We're gonna do really bad that first half, and we're gonna lose by 14 points. But you're gonna come down the last 2 minutes. You're gonna score a game-winning drive to put us up and over.
Yep. Oh, well, he'll go for it on his own 25-yard line in the first half, and he'll call timeouts to help the other team stop the clock. And I'll tell you what, man, how that guy survived last year, I have no idea. And the Chargers got a lot of talent. I mean, when you have these young core pieces, you can't be playing around. Get rid of this guy. Get someone in there that can take care of business. I mean, so I just wanted to bring that up, too, because that drives me nuts. And I'm like you, man. I mean, the Bears played hard last week. The Chargers don't have a good defense. I know that, you think, okay, backup quarterback, Tyson Bagent, but hey, we seen them take care of the Raiders, and the Raiders defense ain't good either. So we'll see what happens.
But it's a Khalil Mack revenge game here. So,
yeah.
So something to keep in mind.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Well,
And I was
Wiz,
going to say one more honorable mention for a good start for Baltimore. The Baltimore game is Gus Edwards. I think he's definitely a good lock and load in your lineup this week, and that might be a good DFS play. I'm guessing he's probably a cheaper guy in there. So if you're looking for just a cheaper running back to get in your lineup, he's probably owned more. So because I feel like everyone's kind of seeing the matchup right now. So
hell yeah, and that's so I'm glad you brought that up. Really, a lot of these Ravens, I mean, and Gus Edwards in general, man, he's solid. Get him for a good price in DFS might not be a bad play. But as long as they come out and take care of business like they should, I mean, they should score some fantasy points today. So let's see. We'll see if they light up the scoreboard. And I believe that's what, a 425 game since it's West Coast.
Yeah, the 320 or 325 game.
On the West Coast there. That's what I figured. That's the only that drives you nuts. You might want to see that game in the early window, but it's on the late window because it's on the West Coast. But
especially fighting against the Dirty Birds.
Yeah, it makes you stay up later, man. You got to watch. You got to be up real late to watch this one. So
yeah, absolutely. But Kevin Adair had a question. He said Ridley or Palmer in a half PPR fantasy league.
Who, Ridley or Palmer? I would honestly. That is tough. I would probably play Palmer. I probably would, man, because it's not even just like I know our secondary ain't the best, the Steelers secondary, but Palmer's been playing pretty well. I mean, it seems like teams are so focused on Keenan Allen that he just opens him up for more volume. And really, who else they thrown to in that offense outside of Keenan Allen? Jordan Palmer's it. This Bears matchup is bad. And like you said, Wiz, I mean, you know Justin Herbert's going to keep slinging this thing. He'll throw it 60 times. So I think with the weather today, I think that scares me with Ridley a little bit. And I just think that if anyone's going to hurt us more, it's going to be Christian Kirk, if I had to put my finger on it. So I'm going Palmer. It's not like I'm going like I'm probably 55, 45, but I'm going Jordan Palmer. Do you agree with that, or are you going Ridley?
Yeah, no, I think Joshua Palmer is the best start there this week.
I called him Jordan Palmer.
Palmer. You just have that love in your mind. You got Jordan Love up in your mind right now. I get it.
Yeah,
but no, I mean, I think Joshua Palmer, for all the reasons you said, Ridley's kind of struggled, and he looks like he got iced out a little bit. I don't know if that was like an intentional play by Doug Peterson. There's an injury, and they just ran him out there as a decoy against the Bills. But until then, I don't really feel comfortable starting Ridley in my lineups right now.
He just don't look like the old Calvin Ridley, man. And what we've seen with Palmer is he is getting quite a bit of volume headed his way right now. And against a bad defense, maybe the weather's going to be a little bit more fair. I think that's where I'm going. And it's going to be tight, but I think I'm 55-45 Palmer, and I'm with you on that. It will be interesting. But this will do it, man. We are running out of time. We got about a 15-minute wait now till kickoff. As always, guys, we appreciate you joining us each and every week. We're going to keep doing this all season long. I love doing this with Wiz every Sunday. We do all the content through the week, and then this is just a build-up to this week. We love getting these last-minute things in here, and we love being on here to answer your start-sit questions and to trade questions, waiver wire questions, anything you guys have. And as I mentioned at the beginning, if you ain't in the Dynasty DNA Discord, guys, I'm telling you right now, if you love fantasy football, it's one of the most active Discords out there. Wiz has done such a great job with this platform over there. If you want to join it, we'd love to have you. It's absolutely free. We love to talk fantasy with everyone. We're always available. You can private message us over there or put it right on the one of the tabs, one of the channels, and everyone will respond to you. There's a bunch of great guys over there. But if you want to join it, go over to our Twitter at DynastyDNA_. The link's right there in the bio. You click that baby. You hit join. We'd love to have you. So make sure you do that. But it will be interesting here to see what happens after Week 8. We know the trade deadline's coming up, as I mentioned, on Halloween. But we're going to wrap this one up. We wish you all the best of luck today again, guys. And we will see you guys next week for Week 9. Good luck. Hope you win some money in your DFS contest and keep your fantasy season rolling. We'll see you next time on Dynasty DNA Sunday Special.
Adios.